Sir, a question on the pricing front. So we as a user, like a normal consumer, now would have to pay, like if I have an iPad, internet home, on the phone. So like, usually the normal pricing model is, you pay for the 3 devices. Any devices you get, more. Tethering more. So do you see that changing?
Yes, definitely we see that changing. First of all, today, 70% of the revenues of the industry are coming from mobile voice. But voice will represent only a fraction of the usage of mobile network moving forward. So there has to be really a paradigm shift in the pricing from voice to data. The second thing is you don't know how much you are spending for data. If you've got an iPad or an iPhone, how much data have you consumed last month, the month before, you don't know. So as a consumer, you don't want to be locked into a monthly subscription, because you lose if you don't spend your full allowance, and you lose if you spend more. So the model we are discussing with a number of our customers is a model that is much simpler, where you would buy a tablet. It will come with, let's say, 10 gigabytes of data included in the price of the hardware. Those 10 gigabytes will have unlimited validity, so you can use them in a week, in a month, in a year, doesn't matter. And once you've used them, you just top up, you buy another 10, another 20. And we've got some of our customers, wholesale partners, thinking of allowing you to top up for multiple devices. So you've got a smartphone, you've got a tablet, maybe you've got a partner with another device. You can buy 50 gigabytes in bulk, and you will tap into your bucket from the different devices. So yes, we expect considerable change, and you will do it for data only. Voice will be just another application you run on your data allowance.
But I think in terms of the cellular industry, they have a long way to go to get to some profitable situation, because by my calculation, they're collecting, I think, about $1,000 per gigabyte for voice, right? And then if you have an iPhone or something like that, what do you get, 5 gigabytes for $30 or $40? I mean, they're collecting your single digit for data, and the voice is finite, or going down, in fact.
It's very
and
interesting.
The data is going up very, very fast. Yes. So will people be willing to pay what it's costing the phone companies now to deliver those gigabytes? Jarjit, yes.
Yeah.
In that industry.
I think that this is a key problem for the industry right now, because there are two opposing forces which are trying to manage the situation. One is you want the broadband to be affordable to the people, but on the other hand you have the data rates growing so rapidly, and the capex to support the data rates is, the CAGR is like 50-60% per year. So as Frank mentioned, your traditional sources of revenue are dropping. Voice is just becoming just an application, and it's going to drop in revenue. But are the service providers able to get in future revenues from data? If we have conditions like net neutrality and equal opportunity for broadband affordability, it puts a constraint and pressure on the service provider side to manage those capex levels.
Couple of additional comments. First of all, mobile operators are highly profitable companies, and especially if you contrast the US situation with other developed markets. The top 2 players in the US are enjoying EBITDA margins that are 10-15 points higher than their counterparts in other countries. So there is room to maneuver in terms of lowering the price umbrella. So that's the first consideration. Second consideration, we've been able to raise $2 billion in the last year on a business plan that assumes that we will sell on a wholesale basis at a single-digit dollar per gigabyte. And the business plan seems attractive to our investors. Why is that? Because when you look at the entire value chain and at what a mobile operator does today, half of the cash that is spent goes into the network, only half of it. The other half goes into handset subsidies, advertising, retail stores, call centers, billing systems. That second half can be done much more effectively by new players than by wireless operators. So let me give you a couple of examples. Who is the best retailer of computing devices? Best Buy or Verizon? Who is the best online retailer? Amazon or AT&T? Couldn't Dell sell, like they do in Japan, connectivity with their laptop when you purchase laptops online? If you have those players embedding wireless services into their offering, you eliminate that second half of the cash spent today by wireless operator, and you create room for the transition from the voice price-led industry we've got today to a data price-led industry. But obviously that transition will be painful for incumbents.
I think that's a really good point. That it actually surprises me that they spend as much as 50% of their capex on the build out of their networks. But remember that AT&T and Verizon price their minutes or price their services by what the market bears, not what it costs them to provide. If you take a look at the scaling cost of data, 5 gigabytes of data costs AT&T or Verizon $30 because that's what you pay for the service on your phone. And then, as you were saying, David, voice, a gigabyte worth of voice minutes costs $1,000. Well, an SMS costs in the tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars for that amount of bandwidth. So what we're really seeing here is absolutely nothing about the actual cost of providing data, which based on Light Squared's business model is in the single digits, and it's probably going to go down by orders of magnitude over the next decade or two from that. There is the cost of a bit of data is effectively zero. The cost of delivery of that bit of data is effectively zero. There's some fixed cost infrastructure that needs to be built out, and that's non-zero. But that's amortized over the lifetime of that equipment. And then there is some repair and maintenance that is non-zero cost, but that's fractional compared to anything else. And so what AT&T and Verizon and these huge telco companies have effectively done is turn themselves into marketing and sales machines. They don't own their networks. They don't manage their own networks. A lot of that's outsourced or contracted. They don't build their phones. All of that's outsourced. All they do is market and bill. And so a lot of the costs that you see that they're complaining about now are what any business would complain about when they're squeezed on their profits. And it's painful, but it's not like it's going to cause them to go out of business, or if it does, it's not like others won't be able to come in and take their place.
Does anyone want to take up on this point? Everyone.
It's relevant to my heart. I'm the founder of ARBANET, so I've seen everything goes from $8 a minute to call India to basically all you can eat right now. You can buy unlimited India right now for $29 a month. And so what we're seeing, all of you are talking about data going back to per megabit billing, which is, again, the opposite of where we are today. So if you want to elaborate on that.
What I've described is the way we will price the capacity of our network as a wholesale-only business. I'm not prejudging on how, for instance, Best Buy, who is one of our customers, or device manufacturers buying from us, will themselves price those services. Let me pick one example. We are in advanced discussion with a consumer electronics company who want to buy capacity from our network to embed that capacity into consumer electronics devices that will come with a service. One example is a digital camera. You will buy a digital camera from them together with a storage service that you will pay, say, $8 a month. And that will give you the ability to take a picture, and then without worrying about it, it will be uploaded to the cloud in Picasa, Flickr, your personal locker, meaning you don't need to come back home to tether it to your PC or to use a memory card or Bluetooth or whatever. There, the pricing model will be very simple. As a consumer, you pay $8 a month for a storage service that comes together with your camera. Another example would be a portable game console. You subscribe to a game, you want to be able to play that game on the go, it's an additional $5 subscription. You want to play World of Warcraft on the go, there is a premium to the subscription, so you don't pay per gigabyte. So what we are allowing our customers to do is to develop whatever pricing they want. If you look at the wholesale business today, which is very limited in size in the US, it's a retail minus construct in all the commercial arrangements. So the existing wireless carriers would allow their wholesale customers to sell at their own retail price minus a discount. Our model is completely different. We charge on a cost-plus basis, and then we leave complete freedom to our customers in terms of pricing schemes they want to introduce.
Dr. Tour, you wanted to comment on some of these?
A couple of points.
Of your customers.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of points I want to state. One, that AT&T and Verizon, these service providers, also have to maintain their legacy networks. That means they have 2G networks, they have federal obligations to maintain those networks. So they have 2G network, 3G network, 4G network. So they're maintaining these huge networks in parallel. A bulk of their cost is OpEx, and so there are huge costs absolutely associated with running and maintaining those networks because of the way the obligations are structured right now, that you can't retire old networks as fast as you want. The second part of it is, I also believe, technologically speaking, and maybe David, you can provide some insight into it. I think your revenues are staying pretty much the same. You're not rising much in the revenue. You're actually going to drop, but you have to put new infrastructure still. So to get to 4G, we have to put thousands and thousands of new base stations, or upgrade the old ones to get to that point. So that capex is still part of the equation.
We haven't spoken about the cost of spectrum. I mean, that is an enormous cost up front that, other players don't. I mean, if you're looking at Wi-Fi, doesn't pay for, but operators do pay for that, which is not unlimited in the sense that it's not forever. There is a time period for which they use that spectrum. For example, in India, they spent about $15 billion for 5 megahertz of spectrum, and that's only for 15 years. So, this sort of stuff keeps on adding up. So it's not just as simple as putting up the hardware and it's there for life. So,
I guess a lot of you know that AT&T and Verizon mainly, but the U.S. industry just spent $19 billion on the 700 megahertz spectrum. Something else I saw looking at CTIA webpage, which has a lot of data, spreadsheets on the cellular industry, and they just track from 1985 or 86 onward how many base stations there are in the United States. I forgot how many, but it's quite a lot more than there used to be, thousands more. And then they say the capital investment in the cellular industry, and it's $1 million base station. Now, where the costs are going, maybe they're shifting from the electronics to other costs. The backhaul is becoming extremely expensive for things like LTE, other things than that. So just to reinforce your point that it's an expensive business, looking at it one way. As you say, they're more than compensating for it with their revenues so far, but maybe their current business plan isn't going to last.
Just on that, let's look at the numbers. Typically, a mobile operator spends 10 to 12% of its revenue in capex, and if I take the US example, generate 40% of EBITDA margin. So the situation is very far from a bankruptcy situation. It's a highly profitable business that generates a lot of free cash flow after having invested in the future network. So there is room to manage the transition I was talking about from voice to data.